He didn't just shove me. He pressed his forearm into my throat while the whole hallway watched. Phones up, mouths open, and for 3 seconds I truly thought I was going to pass out in front of my locker with the combination still turning under my fingers. Before we continue, if you're watching for the first time, Elliot Stories welcomes you with a warm hug. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and tell us the city you're watching from. People say moments like that blur. Mine didn't. I remember the cold, ridged edges of the vents on the locker door digging into my shoulder blades, the smell of gym floor cleaner, and the tiny chip in Trevor's front tooth as he leaned in, jaw twitching. "Say it again," he hissed, breath hot and sour. I hadn't said anything crazy, just, "My locker's here," when he blocked the row with his skateboard and a sneer. It wasn't the first time he'd poked at me. Comments about my hair, my skin, my hoodie. "Funny how you people always crowd the hallway," he'd said last week. I reported it. Guidance counselor nodded, wrote something on a sticky note, and asked if I'd tried ignoring him. My chest burned. My fingers found his wrist and pushed. Nothing. He was stronger. Or maybe it was the shock. For a heartbeat the crowd stayed a crowd, a ring of witnesses too curious to look away, too scared to step in. Then Benny, small, nervous, acne scars and all, said, "Dude, stop," and reached out like he meant it. Trevor's eyes flicked to him and back to me. "What?" "We're just playing," he announced to the hallway, like he was hosting a show. "Right, Maya." My name, said like a dare. And inside me a fuse burned shorter. I am not small. I am not weak. I am not an episode for anyone's feed. So I did the only thing my panicked brain could do. I stopped trying to peel his arm away and went limp. Dead weight. His grip slipped. A teacher's voice cut through the hall, Mr. Alvarez, sprinting, "Hey! Hey! Back up!" Trevor jerked away like he'd been caught shoplifting, hands raised, a smile already forming. "It was a joke," he said loudly. "She's fine." I pressed a hand to my throat and tasted metal. Mr. Alvarez put himself between us, breathing hard. "Office. Now." Students parted. Someone whispered, "She's gonna make it a race thing." Like it wasn't already. Walking to the office felt like walking through a tunnel. The assistant principal, Ms. Green, sat us down in those plastic chairs that make you feel 12. She eyed the bruise blooming at my neck. "Maya, do you want to call a parent?" Before I could answer, Trevor slouched into his seat and said, "I told her I was sorry. It was a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding is forgetting a homework assignment," Ms. Green snapped. "This is assault." She looked at me again, softer. "Do you want us to call?" And that was the moment. The fork in the road. I could hear Dad's voice in my memory. "Be precise. Be calm. Document." He said that my whole life, because he's had to live that way, police chief or not, black men don't get the luxury of losing their cool. "Call my father," I said, voice shredded into a whisper. "Chief Daniel Cole." Trevor's head jerked. He laughed once, quick. "Chief." He didn't believe me. He would. Ms. Green dialed. I stared at the posters on the office wall. "Be kind. Choose JOY," like they might peel off and walk away. Dad arrived in under 15 minutes, striding through the glass double doors in his navy suit, tie straight, eyes scanning. When he saw me, something in his face cracked and reformed, a storm he forced back behind his professional mask. "Maya," he said, voice low, as if we were alone. His hand hovered before settling on my shoulder, warm, grounding. "Tell me what happened." I did. Slowly. Precisely. The way he taught me. When I finished, he looked at Ms. Green. "Where is the student?" Trevor came in with his mother, who wore a blazer like a shield and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "This is ridiculous," she started before she sat down. "Trevor would never. He's a good kid. He's captain of the skate team. He volunteers at church." Dad folded his hands. "Good kids can do bad things. We're here to address what happened, not his resume." Trevor squirmed. "I said it was a joke." "A joke is only funny when everyone laughs," I said. My voice shook. "I wasn't laughing." His mother turned to me. "Maybe you misinterpreted." "Mrs. Lake." Dad's tone could have sliced marble. "There were witnesses. There is likely video. We can review it now, or we can do it later at the station." Silence. Ms. Green cleared her throat. "We've already requested the footage from the security cams. I've also asked students to share anything they recorded." Trevor exhaled sharply. "They always take her side." "Her side," I repeated. The bruise on my throat pulsed with my heartbeat. "I have a handprint that looks like a map." "You're making this about race," he blurted. "Everything's about race with you." I could feel my father's stillness. It's a particular stillness he has when someone says something ugly and he refuses to let it grow. "Son," he said softly, "I'm going to give you a gift. The gift is truth. The truth is you put your hands on my child. That's not your side and her side. That is a fact." The door opened. Mr. Alvarez stepped in, phone in hand, face drawn. "Ms. Green, I have 3 videos from different angles. They match her account." He looked at me. "Maya, I'm sorry." Trevor's mother's smile slipped. "This is being blown out of proportion." "Is it?" Ms. Green said. "Because the proportion looks like suspension and a recommendation for counseling. Possibly expulsion." "Expulsion?" Trevor's voice cracked. For a second I saw a scared kid under the swagger and hate. Then he rolled his shoulders back, trying to find the old performance. "She ran into me. She wanted drama." My chest heated. "Is that another joke?" Dad's gaze never left Trevor's. "I want to hear you say what you did," he said. "Not for me. For yourself." Trevor stared at the floor. When he finally spoke, it was barely audible. "I grabbed her. I shouldn't have. My friends were watching and," he swallowed. "I said stuff. Rude stuff." He didn't say racist. The word hovered anyway. "Thank you," Dad said. "Accountability is step 1. Ms. Green began drafting the incident report, fingers flying. Trevor's mother insisted on stepping outside to call a lawyer. On her way out, she threw me a look that said I had ruined something precious to her. Maybe I had, the story where her son was always the hero. Dad walked me to the nurse's office. He pressed a cold pack to my neck, his hands gentle. "I'm proud of you," he said. "For using your voice. For staying calm. For telling the truth." "It doesn't feel like enough," I whispered. In my head the hallway replayed on a loop, my breath cut off, the circle of faces, the teacher running. It felt like the entire world paused to see if I mattered. He went quiet for a moment. "Maya," he said, "you matter when the world watches you, and you matter when it doesn't. The trick is convincing the world to remember both." An hour later, Ms. Green called us back. "We've reviewed the footage," she said, eyes tired but steady. "We're suspending Trevor for 2 weeks effective immediately. We're also launching a school-wide training on harassment and bias. And, Maya, if you want to file a police report, we can facilitate that here." Trevor and his mother re-entered. She'd been crying. He looked smaller. "I'm sorry," he said, not quite meeting my eyes. It wasn't the performative, sorry, from the hallway. It sounded like a kid standing at the cliff of a consequence, peering over. I nodded once. "I hear you." He opened his mouth, closed it. "I didn't think it would go this far," he muttered. Dad sighed. "Hurting someone always goes this far. You just don't get to pick how far." I decided to file the report. Not to ruin Trevor's life, but to draw a line bright enough for everyone to see. The officer who took the statement treated me like a person, not a problem. Maybe because of Dad. Maybe because of the videos. Maybe because that day the world noticed. The next week was a strange mix of whispers and kindness. Some kids avoided me like I was a live wire. Others offered soft words, awkward hugs. Benny found me by the vending machines and said, "I should have done more." I told him he did something when everyone else did nothing, and that counted. He smiled like he'd been forgiven for a crime he didn't commit. In English class, Ms. Reed asked if I wanted extra time on our presentation. I said no. I wanted to stand in front of the room with my voice, not my bruise. When I spoke, about Baldwin, about fire and next time, I felt the tremble leave my hands. Then came the twist I didn't expect. Ms. Green called me in again. Sitting beside her was Trevor. No blazer shield, mother. Just Trevor in a hoodie 2 sizes too big, eyes rimmed red. Ms. Green cleared her throat. Maya, Trevor asked for a restorative meeting. It's voluntary. If you'd rather not. I want to hear her, he blurted, then flushed. I want to say something. He looked at me. Please. I sat. He kept his gaze on the table. I'm not good at this, he said. I grew up hearing stuff, jokes at the dinner table. Coaches who thought it was funny. I laughed because I thought that's how you fit in. When I grabbed you, it was like the worst version of me took the wheel and I let him drive because I thought my friends would cheer. He swallowed. They did. And then I saw your face. And your dad. And I saw my mom cry for a thing I did. And I realized I don't want to be that guy people have to be brave around. I don't want to be a headline. I want to be better. He finally looked up. I'm sorry. Not just for the hallway. For every word before it that made the hallway happen. I didn't forgive him right then. Forgiveness is a slow unraveling, not a switch. But I did feel something uncoil. I'm not your lesson, I said gently. But if you learn one anyway, use it. He nodded, eyes shining. I asked Ms. Green if I could speak at the assembly. Not to explain myself, just to say what I did was wrong and what I'm doing to fix it. Counseling. Community service. I'm stepping down from captain. He wiped his face with the cuff of his hoodie. Maybe the guys will hate me. Maybe they won't. But I can't be the reason someone else gets hurt. The assembly came a week later. The gym lights were harsh, the bleachers full. Ms. Green spoke about policy. Dad spoke, too, not as the police chief, but as a father. He said, "Power is how you behave when you have a choice," and the echo of it settled in the rafters. Then Trevor took the mic. He didn't make excuses. He didn't say, if. He said, I was wrong, and I am changing, and I will not ask forgiveness with my mouth while my hands stay the same. Some kids stared. Some clapped. Some rolled their eyes. That's the thing about change. It never arrives with perfect PR. Afterward, a freshman girl with braids approached me and whispered, "Thank you." I didn't do it for thanks. But her voice felt like cool water on a burn. When the hallways emptied and the gym echoed, Dad and I walked to the parking lot together. The sunset painted the school windows the color of ripe peaches. He unlocked the car and paused. "You know," he said, "being chief means people think I'm strong. Truth is, watching you stand there made me feel stronger than any badge ever did." I smiled, my throat still tender, my heart steadier. "I didn't feel brave," I admitted. "Bravery rarely does," he said. "It just feels like telling the truth a little louder than your fear." Here's the lesson I carry now, the one I wish I could fold into a note and slip into every locker. Hate shrinks in the light. It doesn't vanish in a day, but it recoils when confronted by truth, by witnesses who choose courage, by institutions willing to act, and by people who refuse to be reduced to other people's worst moments. Justice, when it works, is not a hammer, it's a door. Some step through. Some storm off. But the door stays open. Trevor nodded at me in the hallway last Friday. Not a friendly nod. Not yet. More like a promise to try. I nodded back. My bruise is fading, the outline barely there. But the line I drew, the one that says I matter, we matter, stays bright. And if you're listening, if you've ever had fingers around your voice, remember, your story is not the grip that tried to close it. Your story is the breath you take after, the words you choose, and the way the people who love you stand beside you when the world finally looks up.